The games you play are
You are
just
just being
endless user-generated
ridiculous.
content.
You have
loot
no
boxes.
idea what you're
Make
talking
pick.
about.
You compete
You only play
and
old
rage,
games
rinse
because
and
they're
repeat
safe.
all day long. It's called value. I spent money on Minecraft only once, and that game will probably keep me happy for decades. You do not just play Minecraft. What about Fortnite? You spend endless amounts of money on whatever the next season's skins are gonna be.
Oh, you want to talk about wasting money? You really want to go there? Fine. What about all these games you bought more than once?
That is a fair point. Video games are a funny thing. Honestly, I used to hear about how Beatles fans would buy the White Album over and over again, and I honestly didn't know why until I realized that I do the exact same thing with some of my favorite video games. Ports, remasters, and re-releases are often criticized in the gaming community and labeled as cash grabs or safe moves by developers and publishers. But they just about always sell really well. So are re-releases of games from the past uncreative copy and paste jobs that just print money? Or is there something more to them? I'd like to go through the games I own multiple versions of in order to give a case for the seemingly insane practice of buying the same game more than once. Sure, on the surface it seems like a huge waste of money to the outsider, but new versions can bring new and often better ways to experience classic games. Here are the rules. I'm only counting games I either have purchased or would have purchased if I didn't get it by a bundle deal or something like the 3DS Ambassador program. I won't be counting remakes since I consider those to be different games in their own right, but I will be counting remasters. I also will not be counting ports that can stand alone as their own game. Lastly, games that come preloaded on specific hardware that normally can't have more games added also will not be counted. Let's start this off with games I only have 2 versions of. I won't be able to spend much time on each individual game since I have 54 games that fit into this category, and I can't make hour-long videos every time. Sorry. But I will go through them by grouping them according to the systems they're on, so let's get started. The first group of games would be those I have for Game Boy: Donkey Kong, Donkey Kong Land, Kirby's Dream Land, The Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening DX, Pokemon Red, Pokemon Blue, Pokemon Yellow, Super Mario Land, Super Mario Land 2 6 Golden Coins, and Wario Land: Super Mario Land 3. All of these are available for download on the 3DS eShop, so I not only have the original physical releases, but also have them downloaded on my 3DS. All these Virtual Console editions have save states, except for Pokemon, probably so you can't save scum while catching Pokemon, but they did add wireless compatibility so that you can trade and battle locally with other people who also have these first-generation games on their 3DSs. If you are interested at all in downloading Game Boy games, the 3DS eShop is currently the only way to access them legally. And if the credit card transactions coming to an end in some territories is any indication, you might want to jump on that fast. The second group is games I have on PlayStation: Bloody Roar, Bloody Roar 2, Chrono Cross, Crash Bandicoot, Crash Bandicoot 2 Cortex Strikes Back, Crash Bandicoot Warped, CTR Crash Team Racing, Mega Man Legends 2, and Spyro the Dragon. Just like with the Game Boy games, I have purchased these games a second time as digital editions onto my PSP, so I can play them anywhere. You can also download them onto a PS3 and a Vita, but I'm only counting them as one additional copy since I only bought them once. Not sure how much longer these PS1 classic games will be available. Sony could pull the plug on the PlayStation Store on these older systems at any time, so again, I wouldn't sleep on these. The third group is for the PlayStation 2: Final Fantasy X, Jak and Daxter: The Precursor Legacy, Jak 2, Jak 3, and Shadow of the Colossus. Most of these games, much like with the PS1 games on the PSP, I bought again because I wanted the option to play them on the go with the Final Fantasy X/10-2 HD collection in the Jak and Daxter trilogy. Shadow of the Colossus was sadly not made available on the Vita, but it was released on the PS3 as part of the Ico and Shadow of the Colossus collection. Both games have been remastered in HD, but they are the original PS2 games up-resed. The PlayStation 4 remake, since it is a remake and not a remaster, I don't count here, but if I'm being honest, I would continue to buy Shadow of the Colossus no matter how many times it gets re-released. The Vita games are going up in value since the system did not sell well, so grab them while you can. The fourth group of games belong to the Game Boy Advance: Donkey Kong Country, Kirby and the Amazing Mirror, The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past, and Super Mario Bros. Only the Kirby game is original to the GBA, with the others being a mix of games from NES and Super NES. But I don't own those systems and picked up these games on the GBA first to add them to my game collection. These are all available on the 3DS eShop, but the Super Nintendo games can only be downloaded for the new line of 3DSs. Be sure to keep that in mind before you go on a spending spree. Unfortunately, Kirby and the Amazing Mirror, like the other 9 GBA games available, were only distributed through the Ambassador program that entailed 3DS owners who bought the 3DS early enough gaining access to 10 NES and 10 GBA games. The NES games were made available for purchase later, but the GBA games never were, so unless you have a 3DS with the Ambassador program certificate, you won't be able to get those GBA games legitimately. The fifth group is from the GameCube: The Legend of Zelda, Zelda 2: Link's Awakening, The Legend of Zelda: Twilight Princess, Sonic the Hedgehog 3, Sonic & Knuckles, Sonic 1 for Game Gear, Sonic Blast, Sonic Adventure 2, and Super Mario Sunshine. The older Zelda games I have on the Legend of Zelda collection, the 16-bit Sonic games are on the Sonic Mega Collection, and the Game Gear Sonic games can be unlocked on Sonic Adventure DX. The NES Zelda and Game Gear Sonic games can also be downloaded on the 3DS eShop. I have the HD remaster of Twilight Princess on Wii U, the Genesis Sonic games are all on the Sonic Classic Collection for the DS, Sonic Adventures 1 and 2 can be downloaded from the PlayStation Store onto your PlayStation 3, and Super Mario Sunshine is available on the Switch through Super Mario 3D All-Stars. The sixth group contained PlayStation 3 games: Journey, Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, Sonic the Hedgehog 4 Episode 1, Sonic the Hedgehog 4 Episode 2, Uncharted Drake's Fortune, Uncharted 2 Among Thieves, and Uncharted 3 Drake's Deception. Purchasing Journey on the PS3 also nets you the PS4 version at no additional charge. I have Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 on the Vita for handheld play, Scott Pilgrim recently released for modern consoles like the Switch, I have both Sonic 4 episodes on mobile, and the Uncharted games all come bundled together on the Nathan Drake Collection for PS4. If you tried out Sonic 4 Episode 1 but didn't care for it, I recommend checking out Episode 2. It plays much like the Genesis Sonic games, and it often gets overshadowed by its inferior predecessor. The seventh group would be the Wii games: Donkey Kong Country Returns, Super Mario Galaxy, and Xenoblade Chronicles. Both DKC Returns and Xenoblade I also have on the 3DS. Donkey Kong purely for the better controls when compared to the Wii version, and Xenoblade because I just like Xenoblade that much.
Rhyme time, baby! Yeah! Rhyme time! Now it's rhyme time! Good thing I'm here. No? Anyone? Man, what a bunch of jokers!
Super Mario Galaxy is of course available on Super Mario 3D All-Stars. There's only one game I have on the 3DS which I also have another version of: Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop Distance. It is also available on the PS4 through the Kingdom Hearts HD 2.8 Final Chapter Prologue, and it is a nice upgrade running up to 4K at 60 frames per second. You do give up the 3D effect and portability in exchange, however. The Wii U only has a couple of games to mention: Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze and Super Mario Maker. Tropical Freeze I only just recently picked up for the Switch, again to have it available portably, And Super Mario Maker for the 3DS is neat not only for the portable aspect, but also the technical achievement of porting this Wii U game to the 3DS, whether an old model or new. Lastly, the PlayStation 4 has just one game that I also have on the Switch, Sonic Mania. Initially, this game was only available via download, and since I didn't have a Switch at the time it released, I went with the PS4 version. Once it came out physically as Sonic Mania Plus, I knew I had to get it on the Switch as well. It is a stellar Sonic game and should not be overlooked by any old school Sonic fan. Whew, that was a lot. Moving on to games that I have 3 versions for, I only have 11 to get through, so we could take a little bit more time here. Roll it! Starting with PlayStation this time, Chrono Trigger, Final Fantasy VII, and Final Fantasy VIII. Yes, I know, Chrono Trigger originally came out on Super Nintendo, but again, I never had one growing up, so I had to wait on the PS1 version. I also have the PlayStation version again digitally from the PlayStation Store, and when I began building a collection for the DS, I had to get that version of Chrono Trigger too. Many people say this is the definitive way to play Chrono Trigger, but I'm a little mixed on that. The touchscreen does wonders for battles and displaying maps, and the loading times that were present for the PlayStation version are all gone. But I really do not care much for the additional side quests that were added here. Kinda prefer the simplicity of the pre-DS version. Final Fantasy VII and VIII I of course have digital versions on PlayStation as well as on disc, but I recently found this crazy twin pack that contains both games remastered on it. This was released only in Europe, but thankfully the Switch is region free, so I definitely recommend picking this up. On to PlayStation 2, Kingdom Hearts Re: Chain of Memories, and Kingdom Hearts 2. All 3 of these games are available on the HD remix versions released first on PS3 and then PS4. I honestly wasn't going to bother with the PS3 versions until I heard they were the final mix versions that had only been released in Japan until now. The PS4 versions took a step further by having the games run at 60 frames per second over 30 frames per second, the way they ran on PS2 and PS3, and I am certainly a sucker for improved frame rates in older games. Next up is the GameCube, Sonic CD, Sonic 2 for Game Gear, and Sonic Triple Trouble. Sonic CD originally released on Sega CD, which I only ever played as a kid once at someone's house who owned a Sega CDX. He mostly used it as a portable CD player. The nerve! The other Sonic games released originally on Game Gear and could be found on the Sonic Gems collection alongside Sonic CD. Sonic CD I also picked up on PlayStation 3 as a download as well as on mobile. This is the redone version made by Christian Whitehead, and if you must play Sonic CD, this version is the definitive way to play. The Game Gear games were added as unlockables on Sonic Adventure DX, so I do technically own them this way, but I doubt I'd ever play them like this. They're also available for download on the 3DS eShop. Seriously, check this selection out before it's gone for good. Here's a system I haven't covered yet, the PSP, Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep. Just like the PS2 Kingdom Hearts games, this was remastered on both PS3 and PS4, and shares all the same benefits as those games do. Final Mix Edition, High Definition, and on PS4 we get silky smooth 60 FPS action. And lastly, for the Wii U, Hyrule Warriors. I picked this up before the Switch version was announced, but I hadn't purchased any of the DLC yet. Proved to be a great decision, as all that content comes on the Switch version. When it was ported to the 3DS, I had to pick it up for the simple purpose of comparing how this runs on an old 3DS and a new one. What I didn't realize at the time was how solid a game it was. If not for the Switch version, which bumps the frame rate to 60 FPS some of the time, Hyrule Warriors Legends would be the definitive version of this game, believe it or not. You can switch characters and there's content not found on the Wii U version. Just make sure to leave the 3D turned off to make sure you're getting 30 FPS instead of 15 when playing on a new 3DS. Really winding down now, there's only one game that I have 4 versions for, Resident Evil 4. The PlayStation 2 version I picked up over the GameCube mostly because I preferred the DualShock 2 to the GameCube controller for this game. The graphics are indeed toned down, but it's really only noticeable when you look at them side by side. The cutscenes are also pre-rendered rather than running in real time, but the extra content in this version to this day I think is still worth the trade-off. On the PS3, we keep all the extra content, but this time it's all done with the same graphic fidelity as the GameCube version, but for some reason it only runs at 720p. On PS4, we not only got a physical version, trust me, that's a real rarity these days, but it also runs at 1080p and 60 FPS. Finally, on the Switch, we have everything the PS4 version grants us, but we also get the first handheld version of this game. I really wanted this to come to the 3DS or even the Vita, but I had to wait until the Nintendo Switch arrived. Lots of folks wanted motion controls added since those were such a hit on the Wii version, but I found the motion controls to make the game too easy. Okay, so we've reached the top. The two games that I own 5 different versions of: Sonic the Hedgehog and Sonic the Hedgehog 2 for the Sega Genesis. Had I only held on to my Genesis and collection of games, I could have had 6 versions of these games, but no, I was a foolish youth. Anyway, both of these games are available on the GameCube via the Sonic Mega Collection, the DS on the Sonic Classic Collection, the PlayStation 3 through the store, the 3DS through the eShop, and on mobile. The GameCube, DS, and PS3 versions are just emulated ROMs, but still play perfectly fine, while the 3DS one is the original that has been updated with 3D effects, and the mobile versions are the Christian Whitehead versions that are undoubtedly the best way to play nowadays. When the Sonic Origins collection comes out, you know I'll be picking it up to bring my collection up to 6. Here's hoping for a physical edition on the Switch. I'll admit, at first it doesn't make much sense to own multiple versions of the exact same game. I do think each version, even if it doesn't bring many additional features, still has its own charm one way or another. What games do you have more than one version of? I can't be the only one. Let me know in the comments, and I will see you all later. Hey, thanks for watching. If you want to keep on top of the videos, definitely take a sec to subscribe. I'm also on Twitter, Instagram, and Patreon if you want to follow me across the internet. Level 1 Sword also has a bi-weekly podcast, so give it a listen.